I'd like to call the public safety meeting to order. Alderman Massey requested we look into speed humps. I know we talked about it for a number of years, even before I was on the council. Recently, the town of Walk Hill has installed speed humps at the school. I go over them every day, and right next door to the 4th Ward at Mechanicstown, and I believe next to a Little League field. So I think I'm feeling that we'll go around a little bit, but I have the feeling that there's motivation to try, at least on a small level, a pilot, and try them out in at least 1 or 2 areas and see how it goes. It's not going to be the cure-all. I mean, it's going to be one tool towards dampening speed in the city, and if it works, maybe we can expand it. If it doesn't work, we won't expand it. So the town of Walk Hill uses them. I'm suggesting, I don't know what you guys, a pilot, perhaps near our schools or like a playground, maybe like 2 places, maybe next to Truman Moon or near the Twin Towers. We'll have to talk to the district too, see what they say, or like a playground. The first steps would be to have the police department collect the data now about the traffic in and around those areas as like a kind of like the control of the experiment. And then second step would be request $10,000 from the Board of Estimate to pay for these. They're not super expensive, and they're movable. We could put them in and take them out, these speed humps. And then if we have to get the money, do a public meeting or neighborhood meetings to discuss with the neighbors, see if they're into having the speed humps there, talk about the pros and cons, because there are pros and cons. They do make noise. They're also, I think you mentioned in Anthony Street, in Mechanicstown, there are all these speed humps through the area, so they're taking Anthony Street as a cut around now, and the people over there are complaining about the speeding. So
yeah, everybody at Magnolia Park is begging for them.
Okay, so, and then we have to monitor it and then come back and reassess, and if it doesn't work out, we could take them out. But that's what I'm suggesting. I know we've talked about it for years, but I don't know what you guys think of that idea. Do we want to go around? Oh, let's just go around. Kleiner, do you want to? What do you think?
All right, I'll start. I'm not opposed at all to trying speed humps in certain areas. Where we've talked about a lot is the intersection of Watkins and Wisner, because it's by the corner where the park is. It's close to Presidential Park School. And there are a lot of complaints about speeding down the hill, about speeding down Watkins. But if they were at the intersection, so that cars can't just speed through the intersection, they'd have to go over the hump and stop. And there, I don't know, the commissioner has his point of view on, but they are removable for really tough winter times, I think. And whatever the police chief thinks about doing that, but that was what we've had suggested our constituents meetings quite a bit, that particular intersection. So that would be a good place to try them. And of course, I've always been concerned about out in front of the Paramount. So I don't know if it would be possible on South Street.
Yeah, thank you. I completely agree with school zones. There's not really ways to cut around getting into a school or out of a school around here. So, will it curtail speeding in other neighborhoods? No, but it's going to help the people who are walking on those streets and around parks. I mean, I could think of a bunch of areas, especially, West Main by Maple Hill Park, or, up by Davidge Park there where we have Frank Shorter Way, and it's curvy and people just don't like to stop. So I'd love to try it in one of those kind of areas that, it's not really putting it in the middle of someone's neighborhood, because some people are divided on this idea. But, there are places where it should definitely be tried out. So I'm open to that idea.
Alderman Witt?
Thank you. Are these the same type of speed bumps that are like on Gardner? Like
Yeah, I
at
think
the
like
high
these.
school? Like,
They're the rubber ones.
oh, okay, okay. That was my question. I mean, I know we've talked about it a little bit. I just wanted to know, and they can come up, so, okay, thank you.
Alderman Massey?
We've been discussing this for an awful long time and just not have come to any kind of decision. To me, this is an easy decision. We try it. The worst that can happen is that it doesn't work. The best thing that can happen is that it actually works and people are happy with it. Now, I agree that some people are in favor, some people aren't, but we haven't tried it yet. The other thing is, and then obviously we have to record what's going on, are the side streets, someone that's going to, instead of going down Grand Avenue. But this isn't the meeting, I don't think, to start pitching for which one you want, where do you want them. I think this one is to, do we move forward or don't we? Once again, for years we've been discussing this. We can put this to rest once and for all by giving it a try. And once again, like I say, if it doesn't work, then we don't have to. They are removable. So I'm in favor of at least trying it.
President Rodriguez?
I already have people texting me that they want them in their neighborhood. So, yes, they're coming.
Okay, good. Alderman Jean-Francois?
I mean, we have been talking about this for a while, and the only thing I could think of, we have the police chief and commissioner of DPW. Those are the two gentlemen we always rely on when it comes to safety and DPW issues. I would like to listen to what the chief and commissioner have to say about it first before I make a decision. I know it's not really a decision, but I would like to hear their point of view, how they feel about it.
All right, we can go next. Alderman Johnson?
Well, thank you. As the baseball guy once said, this is deja vu all over again. I advocated for this very product several years ago when we were having a conversation in the Third Ward about a stop sign near Alderwoman Ray's home, which is also a school bus stop, where Alderwoman could see people routinely breeze through. And I presented this idea at the stop sign, not forever, just for 3 months, change behavior, change the idea. I presented that privately to people that are in the room that shall remain nameless, and I was summarily dismissed that this was not possibly a good idea. I still beg to differ. Thank you.
Alderman Ray? Alderwoman Ray?
I would agree with Alderman Johnson. This is we do repeat this conversation. However, now we're not talking about large permanent structures. We're talking about something that can be taken out, which solves a couple of the problems that I had with the larger structures of, them being damaged in inclement weathers and plows and when we have water main breaks. So we're going to rip these up and put them back in. And so that solves that problem. I appreciate that it can be temporary and be relocated. So for that, I'm in support. Am I still hesitant? Because as we've already heard repeatedly from the chief and Commissioner Tawil, their thoughts and feelings on the speed bumps and how they function. But, people are going to change their behavior, but some of that behavior change is just going to be diverting to a new route. Oh, there's a speed bump here. I'll just take my rush down another road. So I think there will be some of that. However, I agree with you on a smaller scale. This isn't like we're going down to Main Avenue. If you're looking to slow people down in certain times to try to send a message and then we can take them out when it's necessary, I'm in support of that as a way to move forward. So that's my thoughts.
And I think also where children are involved too might be helpful. Do we want to hear from the mayor and then, or the chief and commissioner?
Sure. As you know, I'm supportive of the concept of especially attempting to put these up and see how they test. I think your concept is correct. Let's also look at the current traffic on the side streets and see if there's any increase. For example, if you put it on Grand, is more traffic going to divert to Irwin? So it's an experiment and a pilot project. I think it's labeled correctly. And I agree with Alderman Massey, locations is not something for tonight. I think that's where the input from the chief and from Jacob will come in. We all know we have, some of us have different opinions on this, but eventually your body is the one that makes the decision on whether we're going to do it or not do it. And then the responsibility of the administration, the department heads, and myself is to implement it. And then we can evaluate at a certain point. But I think when, over the years, we've always had the excuse that, and it wasn't an excuse because it had some legitimacy to it, that the insurance companies don't like this. And But now we're in a position where we can change insurance companies if they don't like it. So I think as long as we put up the adequate warning signs and we address it professionally, I think it's a good idea. I think we have to be careful. We have to let people know, and that's why your suggestion about a public hearing at some point, or these neighborhood meetings with the specific groups is a good idea, because we'll know if the 2 o'clock in the morning noise impacts the community to the point where they don't want to have them in there. So I think it's a win for everyone. Maybe not for Jacob, but he'll live. And we have a neighboring community that's now doing them, and Jacob has his points too. So as we get through the colder months, we'll see. Maybe our community's taking them out, or are they just doing special care around these? We're not going to have them on every street. And then at some point, and I know Spiro, you and I have talked about it, was that we're going to have to adopt a policy, because once we start doing it, everybody may want them. So, right. And so we'll have to deal with that when it comes. But I think as a pilot project, I think it's excellent concept, excellent idea, and I think it's well thought out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, do you have any thoughts?
You let Commissioner go last.
Save the best for last.
So I think in the conversation, you guys have hit a lot of the points that have been discussed over the last several years. I guess just to add to that is some type of parameters. If this is a direction that the city is going to go, parameters, because we've all had the same conversations, like as soon as you do in one, the next person wants it. And what is the parameter going to be to install these? Otherwise, we're going to have a city full of bumps. And everybody's got an important location that they want them at, but like there's got to be some type of parameters. And I agree with the monitoring of the alternative routes, because we've seen that. You saw that when we did the bridge, or when the bridge was done, like, everybody still got to where they needed to go, and they just found a new route, if not faster. So like, I see a value to them. I think we just have to be very, very cautious of where they go. Is it going to be the ultimate solution? I don't know. But definitely I would suggest putting some type of parameters into whatever your decision making is.
Can I ask the Chief a question?
Sure.
Chief, have you had any discussions with any of the communities that have them in that, I would think if we decide to do it, the next step would be is to start contacting some of these communities that have it and see what the feedback with them, with law enforcement, with DPW, with their councils, and see what they're getting. Because if it's in a number of communities and they're not pulling them up, obviously it's telling you someone likes it.
Well, we got one right across the border. So.
Right, and once again, it's an experiment. I don't see a downside in at least trying it.
I could reach out to the town of Wallkill too, and the police department. Definitely the parameters too, yeah, because everybody's going to want them. We can't have them everywhere. That's especially the main thoroughfares. But if we'll have to have parameters. If there's a need and it's a safety issue, then
We have to decide on what that need is, what the
Right.
safety issue. Like we saw with the gentleman on Horton Avenue, he was pushing forward like that was going to be his solution, and his neighbors wanted nothing to do with them. So you may have 1 or 2 or 3 people that come to you in a neighborhood that say, I want this is going to be the solution, where the rest of the neighborhood's like, that is awful, now I deal with the consequences of it. So that's going to be up for you guys to kind of resolve and figure out where you want them. Mid-street crossings paramount, other areas that, you're going to have pedestrian crossing, maybe a good location to start, but I have historical data for most streets that we get complaints on, so I can provide that, show with some enforcement the differences. I've shared with many of you, we get in the 90% compliance for most streets. We do have some that have a little bit more speed, but I don't know those streets that have those higher speeds. I don't know if a speed bump is going to be the solution in those areas, but it's maybe worth a try.
thank you. Commissioner? You got 2 minutes to get the last word, and then we'll take a vote. I'd like to see if you guys want to move forward with it.
Yeah, good evening. It seems like the majority in here, you're all in favor of it. So I will just warn you about certain things, obviously what we talked about for over the years. And that's why it never went any further, because after we have the discussion in great details, which I'm not going to do because you only given me two minutes, so that takes care of that. But you have to consider the noise. The lucky neighbor who's going to be right across from it, wherever it is, he's going to have the noise of the car slowing down and then going over it and then pushing on the gas to go, especially the speeders. You have to identify really if there is a problem. Just one person complaining, it doesn't mean you go and put a speed hump. Miguel, he mentioned something about by Anthony Street in there, that private development. That's where they belong if there's speeding within a private development like that. And, in Brewster Drive, as an example, by the council president's house, you probably need one in there. That's the kind of location where you can have them. You cannot have
NIMBY,
them.
not in my
You
neighborhood.
cannot have them in Third Drive by Dr. Johnson's house. He's been advocating for it, so we should put one there. and by your house too, Alderman Tobin.
spread the wealth.
And you will see what will happen and the results of it. People like Alderman Ray, she said, is people will find an alternate in there. You're gonna block them here. They're gonna use the other one. The chief gave you an example of the bridge when it was taken off West Main Street. California Avenue became highway, and so on and so forth. The mayor mentioned the noise. Again, that's very important. The volume, you cannot go put them everywhere, these things. You have a limit of three vehicles, 3,000 vehicles per day, as an example, where to put them. You can put them in North Street and Wickham Avenue and all that stuff. So with that being said, you tell us where you want them, or be able to order them and put them in the right place, in the places where you want
On
them.
Excelsior Avenue, street, whatever it is, they are all over that street. I don't know what noise. What noise do they have?
It's not, that
Okay,
isn't the
okay.
time to go into
Besides-
this.
Besides the
You keep
noise.
saying noise.
Yeah,
I don't
this-
hear any noise when I'm going over it.
Okay, no. Your noise from your engine. Those cars with the high muffler volume in there, these are the ones in there. They're going to come speeding down, slow down, go over it, then speed again.
Okay.
That's what's going to happen. It's documented.
That's a
that-
police issue, and they should be pulling them over and giving them a ticket.
Yeah,
'cause
if
they
they're
have
there.
aftermarket
The whole idea
stuff
is
on there.
the whole idea is to put the speed bumps so that you don't have the police
Okay.
chasing their tail.
All right, that-
But these are the kind of things.
All right, so I think I agree with Alderman Massey. I would like to see if there's wish to move forward, and then I would follow those steps that I outlined before, requesting some money from, or $10,000 from the Board of Estimate, kind of researching with the commissioner and the police department, the chief, where to put them, contact Town of Wallkill and the DPW to see if there's any issues, and then give it a try. I'd like to see if you guys want to move forward, and that would be the next step, to write a letter to the Board of Estimate. Does anybody want to make a motion? All right, so Alderman Grebe makes the motion, seconded by Alderman Massey, to move forward on the speed humps. Discussion? I think we discussed it, right?
Are they on your committee?
What?
Are they on your committee?
Oh, geez, I didn't check. Yeah, first.
I already made that mistake.
All right, so who's on my committee? All right,
I don't
so
remember.
we got Tobin, Massey, Ramkissoon, Jean-Francois, and Johnson. All right, so on my committee, does anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
Alderman Massey, second.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Johnson. We don't really need discussion. I'll take a roll. Massey,
Yes.
Ramkissoon. Okay. Jean-Francois.
I yield my comment on that.
Okay. Steen. Johnson.
Yes.
And I'm also yes.
Ramkissoon is now Ray, but that's okay. We'll change this.
I'm a Ray, I'm sorry, jeez. Pressure. All right, so the motion passes. So next step, we'll talk to the Board of Estimate, write a letter. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
And then the committee is adjourned.